recording. So good morning, everyone. This is Cami Narron from NCDPI, your NCEES product manager. And welcome to the home base. It's the first one of the week. We will turn this over now to my manager, my supervisor, Rob Dietrich, our home base manager.
Hey, good morning, everybody. We are very glad to have you here. As we were just talking, whether you're in snow, ice, or mud, we are very glad you could join us today and be a part of the wonderful home-based meetups that we have. I would like to draw your attention to a few things on this first home-based meetup slide. As we were talking, I don't know, before some of you jumped in, Miss Yolanda on our team has done a fantastic job with the home-based logo and the home-based meetup. So we've changed that up just a little bit, and we think it looks a little bit cleaner. I would ask that if you would like to see these slides, please click on the bit.ly link there to get into the opening slides, as well as please make sure you sign in there at the bottom right corner. Please make sure you sign in. It's very important to us that we know who's here and who has attended. I'm actually going to move through these slides pretty quickly because there's not a lot to them this time. Next slide, please. There are all our hashtags, call signs, and any other piece of information you want on social media for us. So please make sure you are following us, liking us. And again, obviously, we think it's very important you sign in. So we put it on a couple slides just to get you to do it. If you would please sign in, as well as the opening slides are there. I do have some things to add to this, and I think we need to update this just a little bit based on some new technology we have. And if I speak out of turn, I'm sure Cami or Pam will let me know. You have your WebEx questions there in the chat. Feel free to add. If you have any, you can pop in your video or turn on your mic if you would prefer to chat with us that way. There's about 20 people here currently. They have a new addition that we don't have on our slideshow. I believe on the bottom left corner, you have it looks like a little robot head in the bottom left corner where you can click on your captions. And if you go over the robot head and say view captions and highlights and click on that, you will begin to see the captions over to the right of your screen. Did I leave anything out, Cami or Pam, on that new functionality?
No, I believe that's good.
And the other one that you can add, I did find it because I just hit it myself, is if you go to the right of that little robot head and hit it looks like a cassette tape. Those of us that are a little bit older in the room that can remember what a cassette tape is, looks like to me, it will show closed captions on the bottom of the screen for you as well. And I do want to remember that the purpose of the home-based meetup are all these things. We really look forward. 2020 was an odd year, to say the least. We look forward when we are not doing this virtually and we can go out to the four corners of this state and see everybody again so that we can have this productive field-based relationship. We can communicate with you and we can get good feedback from you on how things are going in your district and how well we're doing meeting your needs. Next slide, please. The agenda has not changed. You will get a welcome from the advisory after this kicks over, and then you'll get product updates, and then you'll get some trainings for 0.1 CEU credit that we've started this year that we hope that you find very beneficial. Next slide, please. And there is our week ahead. We have NCEES today, we have SchoolNet tomorrow, we have PowerSchool on Wednesday, and a double dose with learning.com also on Wednesday, Canvas on Thursday, and on Friday we have Go Open NC. Next slide. There is our schedule this week. We have done 2 of them. The third one is currently February 15th through the 19th. And we also have the next one upcoming in April 26th through the 30th. Next slide. There are all the wonderful digital resources out there from digital teaching and learning as we continue to light our way forward during the COVID-19 pandemic that we continue to work through every day. I know more and more students are going back in the classroom, but yet we still continue to need those digital resources because just because we're back in the classroom doesn't mean we forget about the digital resources. We still need to use a lot of those tools to help our students move forward with their instruction. Next slide, please. As well as our home-based website, please make sure that you visit it so that you can get all the wonderful things that we have to offer the students across North Carolina, the faculty members, and the parents. Next slide, please. And please remember to look on social media, on Homebase, on social media, and look at our Did You Know topics. And please remember us to like us. We are very close to 500 likes for this year, and that makes me very happy. So please continue to like us and share the word. Next slide, please. And please make sure to give the contacts to us to make sure that we are up to speed with who we would need to contact and who other districts might want to contact in case they want to have some conversations. Next slide, please. And this is where you will be able to come and see the slide decks on this opening presentation we have. If you would, please make sure you can see Cami's slide deck is attached. Tomorrow, John will attach his, and so on and so on. So by the end of the week, you will have the ability to see all the slide decks once those presentations have been completed. Next slide, please. And that is our fantastic home-based team. I do need to get a new picture though, since that picture's from 1998, maybe. But that's okay. We all look like we did 20 years ago. All right. So there's our excellent team, and today I know you're going to have Cami talking with you about the NCEES products. She does a fantastic job, and she works with Robert Sox so well together. They really do a wonderful job in providing information and making sure that you are getting what you need on your side. I do want to thank everybody for this opportunity to meet with you and to talk with you. So I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the session and look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, Cami.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Did anybody have any questions for Rob before we switch over to our NCEES presentation? Okay, great. All right, I have been, and I see Pam's been helping. Thank you, Pam, posting the sign-in link. So please, everybody, be sure to sign in today. And then also the links to our opening slides and the links to this slide for NCEES. If you'd like to follow along, we'll put any links we have throughout the webinar in the chat. But if you would also like to follow along in the slides, then you can access as well. Turn off, there we go. All right, so I'd like to now let Dean, if he can unmute, introduce himself. He's one of our advisory board members, and we'll get this breakout session started for NCEES.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dean Richardson, and I'm a HR director with Alamance-Burlington Schools. In addition to serving as our district's NCEES administrator, I'm also a member of DPI's Home-Based Advisory Board representing the NCEES platform. I would like to welcome each of you to this morning's NCEES breakout session. I hope everybody's staying dry and has power. I think Angela mentioned a little bit ago that Granville County might be closed today because of power, and I know we've had a lot of power outages here in Alamance County, so I hope everyone's doing well. One of the purposes of the advisory board is to be a voice for each of you. So if you ever have any feedback regarding NCEES, please don't hesitate to reach out to Cami Narron or any of the advisory board members, and we'll be more than happy to help you. Again, we appreciate each of you and what all of you do each day, and I'll turn it back over to Cami.
Thank you, Dean. All right, so today's session, we'll have a few minutes to update you on what's been happening in NCEES. And then we usually have like a training session for those of you that would like a Point CEU webinar certificate. When you fill out our feedback at the end of the session, you'll get a link to that certificate where you can add your name to and save it so you can turn it in for licensure. We will be doing end of year review and any reporting. And then if we have time left, we'll add those 30 minutes, hopefully, for networking time if you have additional questions. Here's a link, here's a page that shows our Home-Based Advisory Board Committee. These are your representatives, and I'll let you read over those. All of these folks are happy to help you, like Dean said, and they are very knowledgeable on the system, and just contact them as needed. The links are there on the slides to their email address. We also have a Google group. I'm wondering if this is my old slides. Nope, it's good. We also have a Google group that Brian Probst and I believe Sally Reynolds also are managing. I and Robert Sox are also on the group. However, we let you guys network and answer each other's questions. You guys are awesome at that. If you're not a member of that group and would like to be, click the link and request, or send me an email, and or Brian or Sally an email. We'll make sure you get on that group. All right, so let's get started. We always have a Padlet activity. So I will put this in the slides chat. If you have your chat open, this is our Padlet activity. And this is where in the first column, if we have anybody new here, please introduce yourself. We will take time right now to go through the list and say who's here. If you'd like to unmute and say hello as well as I read your name off, that's perfectly fine. But while we're doing that, please do fill out the Padlet. If you have any successes to share or challenges that have happened since the last time we met in November, please list those in those columns. What you do if you're brand new to Padlet is click the plus sign. It'll put a note up here. You can add a title and then write something that you'd like to list under challenges or successes. Then for our networking session, if any reports come to mind for our new people, we always have questions. What report should I be running when? So for end of year, what are some top reports that you run for your district? Please list those there, and any other tips you have for districts that are getting ready to wrap up the year. And then if there's any action items for DPI to take back, that will go in our last column. So if y'all can get started with that, let me know if you're having any issues getting into that. I'll go ahead and go down the list, and as I call your name, if you want to unmute and say hi, that's perfectly fine. So today from our team, we have Yolanda Wilson. And let's see who else is here. Cynthia Sartain is here. John Mars.
Good morning.
Hey, John. And Pam Batchelor.
Good morning.
I'm trying to think if we have anybody else here from our team. If I skipped over you, please unmute.
I'm here, Cami.
Oh, and Audrey, Miss Audrey Long. Yes. All right. All right. So from the PSUs, from our public school units, Angela Cogdill. And Darlene Epley.
Good morning. Sorry.
Good morning. That's okay. I need to watch my wait time. Use my.
Good morning, all.
Good morning. Deborah Saperstein.
Good morning.
Yeah, if I say your name wrong, please let me know. Eleanor Reale.
Good morning, everybody.
We have Elizabeth Rote. And if you'd like to say where you're from, I can't see it on the list. So some of you I know, and some of you I don't know which district you're from.
Hey, it's Eleanor. I'm from Charlotte Mecklenburg School.
Okay, Elizabeth Rote. Okay, Erica, is it Stronach?
Erica Stronach, yes, ma'am.
All right.
For county schools.
Hey, Erica. Janice Dills.
Hello, how are y'all? I'm from Macon County Schools.
Hey, Janice. Kyle Worley.
Good morning.
Lauren Bosch. She's with DPI now, right?
I am. It's Boucher. Hi.
Boucher. Sorry, Lauren.
You're all right.
Right. Lisa Thompson.
Hello, I am with Union County Public Schools.
Hey, Lisa. Megan McNutt.
Good morning.
Hey, Megan. Nicole McNeil.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Ronette Dill.
Hey, good morning from Polk County.
Hey. And then Sally Reynolds.
Good morning from Wake County.
Good morning, Sally. Stephen Foster.
Good morning, Brunswick County.
All right. And then this one is initials T.M. Bunnell. All right. And Vicki White. My last group's quiet. And Wendy Cabral. I can't remember which it was, long A or short. All right, so welcome everyone. I'm going to give you just one more minute of silent time so that you guys can fill out the Padlet, and then we'll be right back with you. Helps if I unmute. Thank you guys for filling this out. Please do continue to fill out the Padlet, and you can keep it open. And if you think of anything to add to it during our session, please do, and we will get back and do a quick review if we need to, or just unmute and let us know if we need to follow up on anything. All right, so let's look at good news to share. Somebody is new to NCEES and licensure, and that's Vicki White with McDowell County Schools. Good to have you, Vicki. If you have any questions, please do. This is now the time to ask them while we're in our HBMU session. We're glad to have you. If you need any help, contact our NCEES team at any time. And then we have another good news. Cami and Robert always answer my questions quickly, and I sincerely appreciate their support. We do like to hear that. Thank you. We try to be very prompt at supporting you and getting answers that you need. Anybody want to unmute and share any good news right now? Or speak to the notes that are already in here? Okay, let's get into our successes. It says principals are adding late hires and processes are going well. That's good to hear. I think it's taken a couple years, but I think we finally got things moving fairly smoothly, and we hope to have more improvements as the next upcoming year comes on. New mentor signature reminder is working great. Oh, awesome. Good. That's good to hear too. I always want to know if those are working or not because I don't get them. So great. Administrator rights. We had administrator changes starting in January 2020. Assigning and reassigning the administrator rights went well. Awesome. Good news. All right. Anybody else want to speak to any successes? All right. So here's one that we're going to open to the group. So if the question is anyone else switching to Tyler? And I see we have one answer from, I believe, Dean, if you'd like to speak to that.
Yeah, we are switching over to Tyler. For the HR side, I think it's projected that we're still about a year out before we get to that point for rollout. So we're very early in the process, but we are making that transition from Link to Tyler.
Thank you, Dean. Is anybody else got an answer to that? Is anybody else going to Tyler or have any questions about this switch over?
Hey, it's Sherry. Guilford County is going to Oracle.
Okay. Yep. Those are your two choices, Tyler or Oracle. And Dean's right. It's probably at least a year out before HR data is ready to switch over.
Okay, so this is Lisa from Union County, and my HR people are in the thick of it right now. So I don't know if we're early adapters or what. I'm just really scared. Like, I only do CEUs, and so I'm kind of worried, like, when does that, I'm just not getting a lot of information, didn't know how anybody else was getting anything about, the CEU process. But anyway, it's scary.
Yeah, I think, and I'll be transparent, the COVID crisis that happened has put a slowdown on a lot of this.
Okay.
So, and this is now getting back in the running. And I know modernization has meetings with leads in each district. They set those up. They have a website you can go to, and there should be some webinar recordings out there. In fact, I think they recently had one this past month. I don't know if Dean or anybody else can speak to attending that. To update that. And so as soon as the NCEES team knows more, because this definitely affects us because we do bring in HR data and CEU data, we will let you know as well.
Okay. Yeah, I've been looking at updates. I did get to attend one meeting, but just didn't know like what the whole time frame was. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments before we move on from that question? Okay. The next one says, not really a challenge, but is there a report that shows staff members whose evaluation and rubric type have not been set? I will answer this. No. We don't have a report that shows who's, you could run a people report, and it does list out what plan types have been set. So that is in ad hoc reporting. So you'd have to be a district administrator to create that report. It's under the people report, and you can select what plan types they have. So if it's blank, it's not set probably. And we can look at that when we get into reporting. So just remind me, because we will look at that during our training time. Has anybody else been running a report that does this? I worked with one district. We desperately looked for a simple, quick report for this, and there is not one out there that I could find.
Cami is Sherry. Here in Guilford, I run a couple of reports. It's not easy. I pulled it down from NCEES, and I created a report in HRMS as a local web report that shows what type of container everybody should be on, and I bounce it against that.
And you compare it, yes, to make sure that they've.
Yes.
Good.
So if they're a BT teacher and they put them on abbreviated, I flag it that they're on the wrong container.
Right. Thank you, Sherry.
Uh-huh.
Anybody else? Okay. The next challenge is instructors running roster reports. Sometimes instructors need to see which section teachers registered for. It would be nice if they could run a report for this. I have tried publishing one to them, but they don't have reporting rights. You are correct. Instructors have an instructor page in NCEES. I don't know if I can get to NCEES. When we get over here, I'll log in. Well, let's see if we can do it real quick. If you're an instructor, you have an instructor page, and you should be able to see who is on the roster. And I don't know if that's going to be helpful to you. Instructors should also be able to view the roster should have a link to that as well.
Hey Cami, this is Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this was my challenge, I guess, and the instructor page is fine when you have like 1 or 2 sections.
Oh, okay.
But with COVID, you know, our CNI department is trying to do PD to all of our teachers, and so they have like 12 to 15 sections. So to figure out like if when a teacher has a question about why they can't do something, or they like went to a section that they didn't register for, you know, it would just be easier rather than having to go to each roster for each section and then like searching for each one. If there was a way to publish a report to them.
Okay, I'll take that back to the vendor, but yeah, because I know I have asked before, can I publish reports to instructors? Because I think that would be a good place for them to be able to run reports, but since they're in the system usually as users, they cannot run reports.
Yeah, and I've tried to
the only other solution is to make them a site admin.
Yeah.
Which will be limited to their location. It does not let them see evaluations if you do that, unless you also assign them access to an evaluation.
Right.
So, yep. So here's your sections, and then here's your manage attendance, and you can go view the roster by clicking on the links here. So you were saying, you're right, this is only the individual rosters. You can't see them all at one time. So yeah, so we will take that one back.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Did I skip over? Do we have some new ones up here? Tyler, report, Roger. Okay. Only process CEUs, course 18183 is set to DLC and should not be. I have sent this question. We have emailed with the person that put this in. I have forwarded that email to the DPI department that did create this course. Our DPI departments, they are the ones that decide what credit type to set for this course. So I do think that they would have a reason why it's set to DLC. Most of our DPI courses are set to general. And you guys do have the option, if they've earned this DLC credit, and it shouldn't be DLC in your district, if you house your CEUs in another system, you just set it to a different, you approve it and set it for a different credit type, let your staff user know. You can also update in NCEES on the staff transcript if you're a district administrator to change that DLC to general or literacy or whatever you feel it should be. So we will follow up more on this question. I have sent this email to that DPI department, and they should be following up with you.
Thank you. I just know, I mean, after the fact, I just don't feel like there's nothing we can do when they took the course because it was tagged
Set to
DLC. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I've probably been promoting it because we're looking for DLC credits.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, I had somebody this morning that completed it, you know.
Yeah. Can I ask you what the reason is? Do you feel it does not meet DLC credits?
Sure. Give me It's about social and emotional learning. The creating a professional culture based on SEL courses designed as part of an online professional development series. I mean, there's nothing on there that goes along with. I went and looked up the teacher DLC standards, and there's nothing that
that meets that. Okay,
yeah,
so let's work with that department, and we'll see if that needs to be updated or if they can justify why it's set to DLC.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. All right. So new to NCEES and licensure, learning little by little. Whoever put that note in, would you like to unmute and speak to that? All right. You did get a welcome there. So, and I welcome you too. If you have any questions, Robert, Kim Simmons as well, Dr. Simmons, I are at DPI, just send us your questions by email. New HR director, everything is helpful. Thank you. Great. And observation times. I wish there was a way to get people to put in time uniformly. Yes. So I have asked the vendor this because it is hand entered, and I am not understanding why we don't have a widget that lets you put the times in. So hopefully this will be on our plans for next year to see if we can add that widget there. All right, and I see a comment. It does look like we do need to follow up with that district on that previous course. It does look like they did do a crosswalk to the DLC standards, but we'll get that answer back to the questioner. All right, and then networking for the end of year. Tips and top reports to run is your activity lock report, and then eval type changes. Help administrators identify and update now to avoid the scramble later. Yes, if you change your evaluation type, make sure your users are in the correct plan type, and we're going to look at that as well. Let me move this over to our action items. Over here. All right. Oh, yeah, and I have published a list of ad hoc reports for you to run, and that link should be in your district administrator on the help guides page. There should be a link there to those reports, or on the home page for the district administrators. I'll make sure it's there because I have recently, a couple months ago, updated that home page, and I'll make sure it's still there. All right, we do need to truck along. So let's get back to our slide deck. I think I've got two open here. Yes. So we're going to run through this. These are your updates since November and your answers to your questions you asked in November. So our first question was, can we change the titles on the staff evaluations column? And this is when you click on the link for staff evaluations. The role and the plan are not intuitive to all school users. And so we did take a look at this. Robert Sox and I met with the vendor, and we did take a look at what actually this is pulling on your staff evaluations page. So we did decide to leave the plan as is, because this is the actual active plans. And if you look at this screenshot on the right, this is one person, and they have a principal plan, a PDP plan, and a comprehensive plan. So if you're on this page, you can do some troubleshooting by looking at these two columns. The first one is any plan that they've started. So this person started a principal plan, and apparently their job changed and they became a teacher leadership specialist, and they were assigned a comprehensive plan. So that now is also showing up. So you'll look at that first column, decide, well, do I need this principal plan here anymore? No. So you would come under, if you're a district administrator, the little drop down and archive that plan. It's no longer needed. This is one of the ways to clean up those extra unnecessary plans. And then looking at the role, this is the one we did update based on this question. And I believe this was from Sally and Wake. So thank you for the question. The role actually shows you what's been assigned on the teacher plan type under my staff. So this is showing what teacher plan type is currently assigned. And this person has a teacher leadership specialist rubric on a standard plan. So we definitely know the principal plan should be archived. But then come down here, apparently initially when they were switched over, they were given a comprehensive plan. Now it's changed to standard. Well, why don't I see the standard plan here? Because this person has not started their standard plan. So this comprehensive plan probably needs to be archived and advise the user, hey, you have a standard plan, go start it. So any questions about that?
Hi, Cami, it's Sally Reynolds. Thanks for making
Yes.
the change.
Yes.
I think it's good, but I don't think it's quite there yet. And I'm just going to say again, I think that plan should say active plan.
Yes. Yeah, they are the active
That's
plans.
the one that's actually opened and something's written in there, or they've started the plan. Again, I know what they are because I look at this all day, but when a teacher or an administrator goes in and they maybe don't see this, there's still confusion between those two things.
Okay.
So I would push a little further for the active plan to be added.
Okay. Yep. All right. So right here, and any other comments to that? Anybody else agree with that? It does make sense. This row here is the active plans that have been started. On this staff evaluations page, you only see active plans. Okay. All right. Great suggestion.
Cami, it's Eleanor from Charlotte.
Yes.
If we're going to look at those columns, perhaps we could, where it says role or rubric, is there a way to sneak in evaluation type or just eval type? Because some people don't still recognize that where that comes from is where they have assigned it on the My Staff page.
Okay, we'll take that back and relook at that with Robert and with the PowerSchool vendor.
And it's Sally again. I think that's one of the reasons why I recommended the assigned plan for that.
Yeah, oh, that's fine too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, I think that we're trying to get too technical with the labels. Like, really, what is it? One's the active plan, the other one's the plan I assigned it.
Okay.
Rubric, whatever. So what you guys did is better, but it
it's
could
good to hear.
Awesome with one more change.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, Eleanor and Sally. All right, can we remove demographics from NCEES? And this is because it doesn't always come over right. And if you look at the screenshot below, the side on the left is what you see when you click on a user's profile. It's also called user details. And you'll see it's listed alphabetically. I've struggled with this for a couple years, and we finally figured out it's listing everything alphabetically, as opposed to how it shows if you navigated to staff dashboards. It shows in hierarchical order, and it combines what should go with what. So I've color coded, like certification year should go with licensure cycle year 4. Classification should go with what plan type the system thinks the person should be on. And we'll talk about this comes from your HR data. So if it's not correct, we need to clean up HR data. The district needs to clean it up, or we need to see who needs to clean it up. And so on. And then the green one is your comprehensive evaluation type is the header, comprehensive. This one, we want it to actually show for the classification. Robert taught, we think it should be saying probationary or career, because until we update that wording, that's how the data is coming in, as it used to years ago. Everybody was coded as probationary or beginning teacher, or they have met career status. And then the next one down would be the actual evaluation type. Comprehensive and standard come into the system. Abbreviated does not come into the system from the HR data. And then finally, the role, and it will look at your staff's budget code and decide what role goes with that budget code. And here, this role is teacher classroom. So we are working on this with the vendor. It will probably not be updated this year, but we are working hard on getting them to have it show like this in the user details that you see on the left. and see if we can update the classification to show the actual designation of probationary or career. Any questions about that?
This is Sally. So there's no way to just hide those. I know they have to stay.
No, because hiding them would disconnect some things in the background right now. So, and it's connected to so many different things. They were scared to do that during the school year. So we are going to look at, Robert and I are going to review if we can hide most of this, what we actually need to show. And we'll get with our NCEES Nuggets team and we'll review all of this for the summer.
Okay. And the last thing with this is that careered is a thing of the past.
Yes, we do know that.
Update that language?
Yes, Tom Tomberlin and Robert Sox and I have met a couple times on that. And we'll have to re-meet because since COVID, we'll need to get caught back up on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Cami, this is Robert. And Sally, you are absolutely right. And our energy to try to fix that quickly is very important. As long as there are data sets with that flag floating around out there, though, this system has to navigate and accommodate those data sets. So there's a two parts to this. There's getting the system, as we see it, to eliminate that label, but there's also this feeding in data wherever it comes from, anything that still has that flag. How do we respond to it, or what do we do with that? So I just want Sally and those folks that think that it's ridiculous that that old label is in here to know that Cami and I agree that it's ridiculous that that old label is in here, and we're trying to get the red tape out of the way to clean it out.
If I'm not mistaken, aren't there teachers who still have career status?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. There are teachers that have career status. However, that's not a factor in assigning an evaluation plan. It's experience or not is my understanding. But I appreciate the fact that you guys are looking at that, Robert and Cami, and I get that you can't just wipe something out if other plans still have it in there. But thanks for looking at it.
Yeah, and I think it's in the data source as well, Sally.
That's what, yes, that is, Angela, that is what has us a little hobbled, is that it's a label from a data source. If it was just a label within this system alone, it'd be an easy fix, but we've got incoming data with that flag on it. And so we've got to figure out how to deal with that. So anyway, I know that it's not uncommon for changes to happen very slowly. And this is one area I wanted folks to know that Cami and I know this is important, and we're chasing it as quickly as we can, but it hides in lots of little places. So.
All right, thank you. All right, last question. I think there should be a late hire PDP. Trying to get all three steps into a few months is difficult. And DPI's answer for this is because professional development planning is a formative support. A late hire teacher who is in place for long enough duration to complete a PDP needs and deserves a process that includes beginning, middle, and end. For this reason, it's inappropriate to remove the midpoint check from the PDP process. However, if the employment duration of the late hire is insufficient to warrant a midpoint check, then the completion of a PDP for the late hire should be omitted. Does anybody have any comments about that? Okay. I left this one in there because I know some of you, we're working on hopefully upgrading the system at some point. It is still on hold, partially due to COVID and also due to the CIS RFP is not complete yet. And because CIS is under PowerSchool, NCEES is under PowerSchool, there's no moving forward until that's in place, till contracts are in place. All right, coming up, Robert is working on a new principal rubric for the 2021-22, and this will be a pilot for that school year. And did you want to add anything about that, Robert, or do you guys have any questions about that new rubric?
No, I just want to be clear to this group, this is a voluntary pilot. So districts would be utilizing this pilot rubric only if the district elected to participate. Many of you, I don't know many, some of you have been involved with the feedback processes that we have been engaged in to get feedback on this rubric. Currently, the last feedback group is working on this, which is superintendents. From the superintendent feedback, we'll compile all of the feedback and make any adjustments to the rubric. Cami and I are working with the vendor to get this pilot rubric into the system so that it can be delivered. But I just want to be absolutely clear on a couple of points. This is a pilot, and it will be deployed on a voluntary basis for those districts that elect to participate. So if you have any sway with your district and you're interested in doing it or not doing it, I would communicate those things back at the district level so that when the invitation goes out, your district can plan accordingly.
Okay, any questions? All right, thank you. I have sent out the invitations to those of you that filled out the form before Christmas that you would like to be a part of our NCEES Nuggets group. This is a user group, and we named it Nuggets because, and we use the acronym NCEES User Group, Guiding Effective Thriving Stakeholders. And this group will be important with things such as the pilot, premium library that's coming up, and any other issues, or providing feedback and communicating back with stakeholders, because we know your peers would like to hear from other peers that you've been in communication with DPI, you've worked with us on what's new, what's coming out, and you can help us communicate effectively to the rest of the state. So we thank you. You guys can read over the list. I will be reaching out. I was given a couple charters to reach out to. If you guys know of any other, we would like at least 3 more. A couple of those do need to be charters. If you have any suggestions, just email those to me. And I did speak about premium library. You guys have been hearing about this for ages. Right now we're thinking about planning maybe an April, May rollout to make it available to our districts in production. The PowerSchool is finalizing the vendors that will be in the system. We also have to finalize some payment processes, and then we will work with them to set up a webinar to show you all how this works, how you can purchase courses for your district or any free courses that are in the system, how to make those available. Your district does need to utilize the PD office in NCEES. So that means you're going to have to opt in to home base to have access to a PD office in NCEES, because once you buy seats, somebody needs to manage them in your PD office to make sure people are complete and all and such as that, and manage the roster as who's signed up. All right, and then to reiterate, I'll try to be quick because we did talk about this last time, but we may have some new folks. In the NCEES data, we were talking about the HR data that comes into NCEES. If you are a district that uses Link HR or you are using HRMS, your HR folks should be already sending the staff data. And if you'll look in the middle of this screenshot, there's your career and probationary status codes, the CLCs, the CLP, the CLBs. Your district should be sending these to DPI. If you're a charter like that is sending, that needs this data sent to DPI, you may have to manually do that. Contact me. If you need instructions, this screenshot is a link to this document. So you're going to need also a password and a username. I have those, and you'll just need to email me or open a support ticket, request your code to upload your HR data. So please do be checking that. We are working with Buncombe right now. There is also an issue that if the person was in a link district, now they're in an HRMS district, that the link data, because it in the pull of the data, the data looks for link data first, and if it's not fully cleared out from the previous district, it comes over no matter even if you're sending correct data. So I do need tickets on that so we can determine who needs to clean that up.
Cami, this is
Yes.
Steve Foster in Brunswick County. Under that classification, where in HRMS would I be able to check to ensure that that is correct in HRMS?
I do not know because I don't work with the HRMS system, but can you email me that question and I'll get you in touch with the HRMS folks?
I can. It's just those codes are not familiar to me. I'm pretty familiar with HRMS and how the licensure data pulls in and how the teacher type or the evaluation type in HRMS is set, but I'm not familiar with the CLC or CLP or CLB, those types of things, where that's coming from, what data pieces it's coming from to determine that, to send it to NCEES, and I think that's caused us some issues in the past.
Correct. So yeah, so if you don't mind emailing me that question, and I'll make a note. Let me get my pencil. And I'm sorry, you're with
Brunswick.
Sorry.
Cami is Sherry and Guilford. Once you find the answer, can you also let them?
Yeah, because that's a good question. The issue we have is that everybody's been saying HRMS is going away, and it hasn't for 5 years. But they're not. So let me see what I can find out, because they don't have a dedicated person like supporting this, if I can say it that way. But they are very willing to work with me, and as far as fixing this, so they've been great to work with. So their IT team especially, and I will find that out for you.
And Cami, this is Steve again. I can help you get in touch with whomever on the HRMS team that might could help us with that.
Okay, that will be great. All right, thanks, guys. All right, this is just another view of the rule as to how the data is pulled. It looks at link first and then HR data, and then manually uploaded data. All right, coming up in March is our end of year webinars. So if you've not registered for those, here are your links to register for those. And then what's new since November, I'm just going to run through these because we still have to get your 1 hour of training time in and allow you some networking time if you have other questions. So here's your links to the recordings from the November HBMUs if you were not able to join us, or if you would like to review what we did in November. Excuse me just a minute. Sorry about that. And then in December, the webinars and recordings that were held for middle of year. Most people are either just now getting into middle of year, maybe in the middle of it and wrapping up with middle of year. We also did an admin reporting webinar in December where we had a few folks, and we're going to go over this during our training time because we just did only have a few folks in December, and I think it was because it's getting toward the holiday time at that time. And the webinars we've had in January and February with Kim Simmons, did some administrator webinars, and those are listed there as well. All right, so what's new since November? Your quick reports list was updated. The scheduled reports was not working. And this has now been updated. Is anybody out there using scheduled reports in the quick reports list? I'm going to pop over there real quick to show you that. So it is under reporting. Here you have your quick reports. Right there. So these reports can be scheduled. I'm going to come back to reporting. And where you schedule them at is actually in the next channel, My Reports. And you can manage reports. This is one of the tips from December that a lot of people liked, because you can schedule your quick reports now. And to fix this, remember at the beginning of the year, we changed our quick reports to not have any dates on the reports. So they had to now add some of those back so that you can schedule the reports. So when you go in your quick reports list, they're doubled up. One, you can just run one that you need to select a year on. We needed the year so that you could schedule a quick report. And I see some folks are scheduling reports. Some of these are old. I probably got my list upside down. But you come over here to create a scheduled quick report. And you select the report that you want to run. You give it a title. And then you have to put a macro in if you want a date and time in the file name. It's this macro right here if you want a date in there. When do you want that to run? What time do you want it to run? If you just want to run it once or more often. Do you want it to reoccur? We can do it monthly. You can put it on the first Monday of every month. How many times you want that to run? I want it to run through maybe June, so maybe let's do 5 occurrences, or you can give it a specific date to end. Who does this need to go to? And if you have several people it needs to go to, you can comma separate them. Leave all the FTP stuff blank. If your computer automatically fills some of these in, you're going to need to blank it out. All right, so we're not doing any of this. It knows to send an email for this report. And then you would just click add. And now it's added. I'd have to go search for it. There are filters here. If you wanted to. Search for your reports. I updated the table and there's my report. Okay. If I want to delete a report, I just check the box and click delete. Okay. Any questions about scheduling a quick report? So if you're running the same report every month, this is a good place to do that. The other thing new is we updated the activities report to include teacher mid-year comments. Hopefully we have this report now fully updated. If you notice any issues as you're running these record of activities reports, please open a ticket because we stay on the vendor to keep this updated. If you see any blank fields you think should have items in them, open a ticket and we'll check it out and get it corrected if it needs to be. Because a lot of people are running these now, and at end of year, your teachers can run them, your site administrators can run them, anybody can run these record of activity reports. It is a channel in each of the plan types. All right, we had some feature updates, 21.1 that went in on January 31st, and this resolved an advanced search issue where if you were searching for inactive staff and only inactive staff, it was not returning any results. It will return results now. And I have a couple other slides. If you had, I know I had reports, Sally had reports in Ad Hoc. If you were running for a large number, it might have been too large and hung up the report, and it would say it's still processing. If you looked in the cache tab or at the top of the page, it was still sticking there. They fixed the top of the page first, but it was still holding up. If you went under the one of the topics and looked at your cache tab, it was still saying processing. This is also now fixed. And if it has errored out, the report should eventually fall off of the cache tab. And then filtering administrators by active plans. This is not really helpful to us, but I do want to show you this because I didn't know it was in the system. When you are in My Staff, and you are in a school, so let's just try. All right, so you have this administration staff management tab, and this is where a lot of you have reported issues of people's names showing here. This is not fixed yet, although it should be better. There's no way for you to hide the names. If you have a question about people's names here and want us to check it out, please open a ticket. I have verified with several districts that the people's names are here because of past access rights, and that they cannot see anything current. They're just still connected with somebody. Maybe somebody's in another district now, but they're still connected. So their names are showing up in your administration staff management. You can go, let's see, try to remember which one it is. Yes, to staff details. And over here, you can see the location, the site here. So if I only wanted to see the people in the training school, I could filter out the sites here. And then you just add a filter. Well, they said it was here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Administration staff management, get to the right tab. Now, add a filter. You can filter by location. So if you only want to see, maybe you're just working with one of your schools, you could come to this page, do equal to, and just filter to your school that you want to see and update your table. Alternatively, you can say not equal to and hide the other districts that are showing in your list. But it's only if you go to My Staff and then Staff Details and then Administration Staff Management. The other item that they just opened, and I don't really think this helps DPI, is only show staff in this list that have active plans, because a lot of our administrators don't have active plans. They're actually in there to evaluate or view other people. But if you wanted to see who had active plans, you can check this box. This was in that update. And now I'm only seeing who currently has an active plan. Okay. All right, the other thing, this is just showing you what I just showed you, how to add those filters. All right, and that's all that's new. Just to remind you, we do have training accounts for you to use in your district. This is the link to the training account site. The bottom link goes to like a list that you can put your name beside a group of training accounts and use those training accounts to do one-on-one training or group training. You have those to use. You just need to sign up for the group that you're using. All right, any questions? Does anybody need a break? All right. All right, so NCEES end of year. This is just getting started talking about. I just talked with the vendor last week. They're getting ready to update the plans for 2021 so that I can start getting in there and testing them, making sure everything's working correctly. Tentative date for end of year would be the June 30th date. We'll work with our DPI department as well as far as when NCEES is also doing end of year so that we can coordinate those dates and times. But currently, usually NCEES updates on June 30th after 5 p.m. And then we'll work with the vendor to also set that date and communicate to you when the system will be back up. Anybody working on PD, the PD side of NCEES does not go down during this time. So people can continue the courses that they're working in. Your end of year checklist, confirm that staff lists are accurate, delete or archive any unnecessary evaluation plans. We looked at that. And then confirm your evaluation and PDP plans are complete. So how can you check for and clean up multiple evaluation plans? We looked at your staff evaluations page, and that's the screenshot at the bottom. You also have a quick report called Users with More Than One Active Evaluation Plan. It does not show you plans that you've assigned that they've never started. Yeah, as long as they've never started them during the rollover process, the vendor usually cleans those unstarted plans out. Quick reports, you can run several quick reports. Choose the quick reports module, and I showed you that just a minute ago. Choose what quick report you want to run. I don't know if you see the screenshot very good, but the reports will be doubled up. You have one to run for the current year, and then you have one where you can select the year to run for. So those are your doubled up reports. You decide which one you want to run. Just a note for your finance, payroll, and HR, as staff are hired for 2021-2022, they need to not make them active until after June 30th. They need to wait until July 1st or later before they make them active, or the system's going to think they are in the system. You're going to think, well, where is their plan? So please work with your payroll to make sure that as they hire staff toward the end of the year for the upcoming year, that they should not make them active in UID. When they export from payroll and upload it to UID, upload them as not active. Okay, so what is going to open that summary evaluation? This is just a quick view of what observation activities need to be completed before that summary evaluation that the principal does opens up. Here's just another view of your evaluation locking activities on each plan type. So you see the comprehensive has 3 observations and a peer, and then you can lock the summary activities at the end. And standard has 3 observations. Peer is optional, and then the lock summary activities. Abbreviated has 2 observations. Peer again is optional, and lock summary activities. And then a lot of you are starting with those late hire plans now. Only 1 observation needs to be done. You can do more. You can do up to 3 if you'd like. And again, peer is optional, and lock those summary activities. How can you check if a plan is locked? You can look on your staff evaluations page, and if you'll scroll over to the summary evaluation, you'll see the green check mark with the locking icon. You also have a quick report, activity lock report. You could also come under this graph icon and run the evaluation completion report. You can uncheck the boxes, and we can take a look at this if anybody's new and would like to see it, and uncheck all the boxes, and then just check your locking activities, and that report will update and show you who is in complete status, who is in progress status. Here's a list of some of the DPI published ad hoc reports for your evaluation, for your professional development plan. I'm not going to read through all this. Here's what that evaluation completion report looks like on your staff evaluations page, where you clicked on that graph icon. Notice that all of these boxes are checked. There is actually a box at the bottom of the page that you can uncheck all the boxes. I don't know if you can see that because I've got my captions on. I can't see it right now, but there's a box down at the bottom. You uncheck that and then refresh, and then you can come in and check only the boxes that you want to report. So here I've checked observation 1, lock activities, 2, 3, and summary. And then you'll get a report at the bottom of the page, who's in progress as overall, if they're complete overall, and then each of the activities that I asked for, is it started or not started, is it complete? And it will show those. These can also be downloaded as a CSV, or you can highlight them and copy and paste them into Excel. All right, what is the status of completion of the evaluation and PDP plans? These reports are published to you for running, and these are found under reporting. under my reports, and you'll see a list of my ad hoc reports. You'll see a list of these reports that I've published to you. If any of these are not in that list, let me know. I've tried to go through and make sure that these are all published. What reports to run at the end of the school year? And these are also published to you to run, DPI teacher summary ratings and so on. Those continue for your instructional support staff and for your administrator report. Now, the only people that can run reports that contain principal information are your district administrators. And that's because some of your site administrators are assistant principals and they should not be viewing the head principal's evaluations and summary ratings. So we've made the principal reports only available to run for the district administrator. All right, and here's that navigation from system administration to my ad hoc reports. You can also create ad hoc reports by going to system administration, ad hoc reporting restricted, selecting a report type, and then creating new or running a saved report. Also, as we're getting from the middle of year toward the end of year, maybe you see some of your staff is struggling meeting their goals. You can require them to do PD. Your site administrator, principal can require them to do PD, excuse me. And this is called the light bulb feature. It is found in their observation rubric. And we've gone over this in other webinars, so please refer to the other webinars. You can just go into their observation rubric. There are little light bulbs beside each standard and each standard element that you can click on to see courses that are aligned to the standard. Now, not all of our courses are tagged this way, but many are, and it's a good way to find courses that are aligned to a standard to meet a goal that a teacher or a staff is trying to meet. And I can't emphasize enough, run, save reports that you will need for summer and next school year. As you're getting after April and into May and June, maybe you're wrapping up all your evaluations toward the end of April or early May, please start running reports. Save those reports. When your staff leave your district and go to the next district, their plan goes with them. Make sure you run those reports while they're with you. Save hard copies or save it digitally, and then work with payroll to possibly leave staff that are not going to another district if they'll leave them until June 30th to give you time to run the reports that you need. That's up to payroll, so you're gonna have to work with them. If you missed the admin reporting webinar in December, this is it. All right, so I'll leave this up to you. Do you guys have any input on what kind of reports to look at? Because I wanted to give you a little training time on reports. I have worked with Wake County, Sally, and we like troubleshooted exporting a plan to PDF. This is a good way to get individual reports on each of your staff members in bulk. The only caveat to this is it is based on who sends a report first, and it is statewide. So if everybody's waiting to the end of June to run export a plan to PDF, they will run, but they will be stacked to run in order of who put a report in first. And we're going to go look at this. So the next slides here, I'm going to walk through live. But I've got all your steps in here. And by Friday, this will also be a help guide for you. Sally, did you want to speak to, are you still using these reports for export a plan to PDF?
Hi, Cami. Yes, we use them at the end of the year so that they can be uploaded into digital personnel files. So that's really the purpose. I don't really use them as much during the year.
Okay.
It worked great last year. The things that you helped us troubleshoot that weren't working,
Yes.
seemed to work in subsequent exports. So I thought it worked well.
Okay. All right. So I'm not going to go through these slides, but I will go through live. Is that okay with the group? If you speak now or forever hold your peace. And then let me know also what other kind of reporting you want to look at or other things. So let me escape out of this. All right, I'm going to be a district administrator. So let me go get an account. All right, so I'm a district administrator now, and to get to export a plan to PDF, you go to System Administration, and over here on the left under Applications, remember that was System Administration, go down to Applications, and then Export a Plan to PDF. All right, so here's an export that I scheduled to run this morning. Here's your export queue. If I had any completed exports, they'd be down here at the bottom, but they're not complete yet. This one is scheduled to run today. And here you can click on the title to see the selections and choices you made to print in this report. So we're going to walk through all of this in just a minute. You're going to need to name, zoom in so you can see it. You're going to need to name your report. This is going to show in your queue. You're going to name the PDFs. So each staff in your district that meets the requirements you set in this report, they're going to have an individual PDF and how do you want it to show, what names. So for my report, there's macros you need to use, and I decided I want their last name, comma, first name, comma, employee ID. So all the different individual PDFs are going to put the people's last names, first name, and then their employee ID. All right. I chose to not exclude unique records if employee ID is included. Delivery. So this is important. You can either get the report as FTP or file download. For you guys, your only choice is file download, because they cannot export to the individual FTPs that you may have. The vendor right now can only export to DPI's FTP. So make sure that you choose file download. You're going to schedule a start date. You're going to say, how long do I want my report available until? And you can set that date before it disappears off the system. Here I said, yes, I do want to exclude people that are inactive. If you want to include people that are inactive that are still connected to your district, you can say yes or no. If you need file attachments, maybe you're running a report for artifacts, you could include those. Export only completed plans. That's your decision, no or yes. At this point, I don't have any completed plans, so I said no. Export only shared observations. I said no. If you only want to show what the teacher has shared, then you would say yes. And then site options. I've always run associate the evaluation plan to the location of the owner when the plan was started. So who owns that plan? There's a couple other choices. We'll see those in a minute. If you ever see a question mark, you can hover over this and NCEES will give you additional information. What plan did I pick to run? Here I picked the standard evaluation for 2020-21. I highly recommend the export type that you choose be partial report. You'll have some additional steps to do, but if you try to run a report with everything in it, it could take a month or two to run. So especially if you're a big district. So I always recommend do the partial export. Since it's not the end of year, I decided to run a report showing me who has observation activities locked. And then you have to target who to include. What staff do I want to include? If I have several schools, do I want just certain schools to include? Here I just decided to run for one school. And then who gets notification that this report is ready? Ideally, this is somebody in NCEES, because you're going to have to get in NCEES to actually get to the report queue. So this, I just sent it to myself. However, if the superintendent has asked me to run this report and he wants a notification of when the report is ready, you could potentially add his email there as well, or her. All right. So let's step through this process real quick. It's 11:20. Let me zoom back out just a little. All right, so your first step is going to be to schedule a new export. And notice up here, it's going to show me how many steps I need to do to get through this and schedule this. I have 6 steps. The first one is plans. I need to select a plan to export. Now, you're going to see all kinds of plans from all years. So maybe I know that I'm running plans for this year. And I just looked at my naming convention that the system is using. So I kind of copied that and I hit enter. You can also filter. And so here's my list of reports. It shows me how many people in the system that this person has access to. So here's all the plans that they have access to, or how many participants are on each plan type. Maybe not necessarily they have access to, because I don't think this person has access to 52,000 plans. This is my training account. All right, so I'm going to select a plan type. Notice you can only select one at a time. So I'm going to do, let's do the abbreviated plan. I have a next button up here. I also have a next button at the bottom. Give me just 1 second. Ooh, sorry about that. Frog in my throat. All right, so here we're going to click next. I come to step 2. What export type do you want to run? There's no really true templates for DPI in here. The templates are the plan types that we just picked. Full export is going to include all activities. I don't want to include all activities, so this is the one I always recommend, is your partial export. So I'm going to click next. All right, everybody good? No questions so far? All right, the next part is those select activities, and it comes automatically checked for all activities. So what I want to do is click this top checkbox, and now I can go through and check what I want to see. Maybe I just want to see who's completed their training and orientation, or let's see, this is abbreviated plan. So let me see if they've completed their formal observation 1 and formal observation 2 at this point. And notice you can check as many additional items that you want to include. That's all I'm going to include. I'm going to click next. Oh, before I get off this page, this is going to tell you over here, let me come back up, the activity type. Do you want to see signatures? Then here, these are your sign-off signatures. So if you want a report that shows signatures, look for the activity type. Okay. And I could have stayed at the top because there's a next at the top as well. All right, so we're up to step 4, selecting your users, your districts, or your sites. So you can select specific users. And And that will probably take there we go. And that's just going through. You can filter to try to find people, specific districts. And I can include this district. So this time it only brought up by training district. If I'm running by the district, I can exclude districts by clicking this button. Do I want to pick specific sites? So here was my district. Here are my sites. So I have 6 schools in this site. I only want to run for training school 1. So I'm going to select include site. So this is good if maybe you've got all your elementary schools done. You can just come out here and pick your elementary schools one by one. It will show you right here. One site will be included in the export. It also turns yellow and highlights it. If I accidentally clicked on the wrong one, I can then exclude it. And optionally, I can exclude sites with this last button. I don't want to exclude any. I'm only including one, and it says here, one site will be included. So I'm going to click next. All right, this next part, who gets the report? Find users, find somebody in NCEES to send a link that this report is ready. So I will, let me do it backwards. It does bring up names by last name, comma, first name. And notice sometimes it's slow. I'll give it just a minute. There we are. You have to click on the name. And remember, here's your little question mark if you have any question. So now I've added myself to get this report. I can add others by putting comma separated emails here. And then I click next. And we're already up to step 6. Now I need to name my report. This is observation 1 and 2. All right, so you decide how you want to name it. Here's your macros here. So I will just do real quick. And you can add any or all of these. They are not highlightable, so I did put it on your slides if you want to copy and paste. All right, exclude unique ID record. I just left that blank. Delivery method. This defaults to FTP, so make sure you change it to export a plan to PDF. Very important. When do I want this to start running? Today would be good. You can choose any day in the future. And then how long do I want it to be available? I'll just say to the end of the month. Do I want to exclude entries that are inactive? Yes, I only want to see my active staff. I don't want to include any file attachment. I don't want to export only completed plans because my plans are not complete at this time. And then export only shared observations. I'll say yes. And there's additional question marks. And then your site options. All right. Associate the evaluation plan to the owner's current location. Associate the evaluation plan to the location of the owner when the plan was started. So that means this plan belongs to my district. And then associate evaluation plan to the owner's current primary location. I always just leave it on that middle bullet, but you can play with those if you like. And then I click finalize. Any questions before we click finalize? All right, so then it brings me to a review page. Notice I have options to go back and make changes. There, on each one of these. So I've got my export name, I've got my PDF, how it will be named, and then all my other choices that I made in this plan. And then I'm ready to schedule. So I click Schedule Export, and it's now in my queue. All right, once they're completed, they will show up down here. You will also get an email when they're completed. And give it time to run. Some of these may be pulling a lot of data. All right, does anybody need to see that again before we go look at other types of reports? All right, so let's go. I'm gonna stop impersonating. Now I'm gonna go be probably a site administrator so that I can have a smaller group of people to work with. Oops. So I want to pop back out here to the Padlet Activity Lock Report. Evaluate. Okay. Okay, so your site, your principals, your head principals can run reports as well as you can. So the next navigation I wanted to see was the one in staff evaluations. And this is in that linked slide deck for the admin reporting. I did want to show you this under here, under the graph icon, is your reporting menu and your evaluation completion report. I've asked them to hide these heat maps, but they said they cannot at this time. Evaluation completion report is your friend. So please go start running those if you've not run those before. You're going to choose a plan type. And so let me find one that would be short. So let's try abbreviated. All right. So notice it spun, and now it's got all the activities in the plan type that I chose. And again, they are all selected. So here's that button. I don't know if you could see earlier because of the captions, is the deselect all button. There we go. All right, and now I want to maybe just get a locking report to see where everybody's at. Have they fully completed an activity? And I could know that if the principal has locked the activities. If you know your district's doing these additional observations, you can check those. And probably nobody has locked a summary activity yet, except for in tests. We'll go ahead and check that. Once you've rechecked your boxes, you want to click refresh. Because down here, notice I'm already getting results, but I do want to refresh this page. All right, we've refreshed. Apparently I have 4 people on the abbreviated plan. Right here it tells me 0 or not in not started process. I have 3 of my 4 in progress, and 1 of my 4 is complete. You can always click these plus signs to get additional information. These are nice because they do show you some percentages here as to which activities are complete and which are not. I'm going to close that one up. And you can also do that for each activity, one by one. Okay, so nobody has done observation 3. One person is complete with observation 2, but nobody else has started it. In observation 1, same thing. One person is complete and nobody else has started it. And then down here is your overview. So here are my 4 people. I can see what's been completed and what is not started, and then their overall progress here. So apparently they've clicked into their plans, but they've not started any activities. And this person here is complete. Right here, this little icon is your download CSV. And then up at the top, another tiny icons, I don't know why they like these tiny icons, is your download PDF. It'll come up with this little print option. Yes, I want a portrait. I'm going to click print. Hopefully it won't take too long with 4 people. All right, and there's my report. All right, so this is handy when people are asking for what is the completion status on so-and-so at which school. You can sort by the schools down here and get those different items in there. You cannot run by school, but if you exported this or downloaded it to CSV, you can then filter by school. Okay, any questions about that report? So I'm going to pause now. I've been talking a long time and get a drink of water. Do you guys have any questions or any specific reports or any suggestions? Okay, is everybody good?
Okay, is everybody good?
Other?
You want to see any other?
Don't know why I'm echoing.
Don't know why I'm echoing.
This is the slide deck.
This is the slide deck.
Try again now, Cami.
All right, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. All right, so I'm just going to quickly roll through this. We only have a few minutes. If you guys have anything you want to talk about besides reports, please unmute, let me know, and we'll do our now because it is about 11:38, so we've got about 20 minutes. If you have other items you want to talk about, please do unmute and let me know. All right, so who has access to run reports? That's going to be your district administrator. All right, Sally has to go. So thanks, Sally, for joining us today. And then your site administrator. APs, if you want them to run reports, you must give them site administrator access. That does not give them the right to see other evaluations unless you actually manually go assign those. The only ones who are site administrators who have automatic evaluation access are your head principals on budget code 114. Here is your steps for running those quick reports, your my reports, and your my ad hoc reports. All right. So the quick reports, if you chose the one that says select year, you're going to be prompted to pick a year. And then there's a sample down at the bottom of the page of what that report looks like. And this was the activity lock report. All right, so quick reports. You probably want to run these in November, January, March, and May. And this is your evaluation completion exception report. That is in the list as well. Those are awesome reports because it tells you, are they complete or are they in progress? And then we walked through how to schedule reports, but you can also memorize reports. When you run that in the My Reports channel, you can also memorize a report so it is always in your list. So if you don't want to walk through the steps of selecting a quick reports module, scrolling through the list, finding my report, memorize that report when you first bring it up, and then it will be in your second channel down, My Reports, where you can just click on it and run it, or schedule it to run on its own. We did walk through scheduling a quick report. Here's that view of My Reports. The next channel down is your Ad Hoc Reports. These are the reports that either you've created and published, or I've created and published for you to run. Remember, if you have reports that you've run, cached reports, it stores a cache of your report, they will run out, usually in 4 to 5 days. So make sure if that report is important, you need to download it if you need to keep it. All right, in your report, you're going to see this little jagged line icon in the circle. That is your run icon. If you've created the report, you're going to see a trash can icon also. So you can essentially delete it from this page. Nobody else will see the trash can icon, even if you publish a report to them. If you're the creator, only you can delete a report. This also is important if you're leaving the district. You may want to have another person recreate the report that you created, because you cannot share it to them to then run from then on. They're going to have their own created report. All right, if when you created the report, you said, I want to add some filters on the report for my principals to select the school that they're at, or the certain usernames that they're looking for, you can add filters to a report. And when they click the run icon, when you've published it to them, they'll see the filter. They don't have to select a filter, but they can. All right. District administrators and site administrators can also access staff dashboards, and that's under System Administration, clicking on Staff Dashboards. You can browse for staff by site, by their demographics. You can search for individual staff, or if you've created staff groups, you can populate those staff groups by using the last container. Once you've selected, here I've selected all my sites for just Training School 1. It puts a list of everybody in Training School 1, and then it populates data to the right. Notice I have a group dashboard, a group reports, individual information, and course completion reporting. If I wanted to print my dashboard, that's the icon up here. If I want to do individual information, like I have staff that are telling me that they've logged in the last 3 days to complete an activity, but I'm not saying it complete, I can actually come out here and use this little icon right here and see within a time frame who logged in when. Group reports, I don't know if anybody really using these, but you can play with these and see if they're beneficial to your district. Once you have your group there. Individual information is pretty informational. So do come in here, click on the individual information. It'll give you their basic information. It'll bring up more tabs. So here I have my username, and then it'll give me my username's information, their role, their site, the last time they logged in. If you want to know individually, when was the last time did they log in? this is a good place to see it. And then the next tab over is your learning opportunities. I hope you guys can see this okay. So if you want to know, has my person taken the MTSS courses that they need to take, you can see if they've signed up for those here. It'll show if they're registered or completed. The next tab over is their transcript. So site administrators can navigate to a transcript from here. They can see right here a summary of the transcript. If they want to actually see the transcript, they can click Go to Transcript. We're not doing credentials in NCEES, so you skip over that. And the last one is what plans are they on? So this is a test user, so they're on several plans, but this is where you'd see those. You can actually navigate to the plan as well from here. So if you're not using staff dashboards, this is a good place to get a lot of information. There's course completion reporting as well tab. So you can search for course titles, course numbers. If you want a specific course number, make sure you put parens on either end of it, or it will find other courses that have that same number in it. You can select to show who's not registered, and who's completed. So if I wanted to find a certain ECATS course, I could put that course number in. I've told everybody to take it. I can run a list for all of these and see who has never signed up for it, who has signed up for it, and then who's completed it. So you have two buttons down here for these reports. You can uncheck any of those if you want. This summary will just give you a percentage of the people in your district that are not registered, a percentage of registered, and a percentage of completed of the group that you selected. Or if you want details for person by person, click on the detail button. PowerSchool has some good help on this page, and there's a link there. All right, we did go to the staff evaluations reports. Download CSV. If you filter this list on the staff evaluations page and then click download CSV, it's going to print or download what you show on your page here. So there is a limit of 5,000 records. So if you are a large district, you may want to filter this list so you have less than 5,000 records or up to 5,000 records. All right, and we also just looked at the graph icon to pick the evaluation completion report. All right, and then creating ad hoc reporting. Here is your help guide for that. It is very detailed, has screenshots for each image. Does anybody need to see that live today? We have about 10 minutes. All right, here I've listed a list of all the main types of reports right here and what they run. So this is for your information, so I'm not going to read through each of those. I have exported what is in each report. So if you've got somebody that is awesome at running reports and they want to keep up with how they've set up a report that they've published, they could use the spreadsheet and they could like mark which activities they included in their report, so that maybe if they do leave, the next person can come in and say, oh, I need this ad hoc report and these are the activities that that former person included in the report, and now I can recreate it. So this is a good way to track what reports you are creating in your district, what ad hoc reports. All right, so here's your primary report target. So if you were in ad hoc reports, this is an assessment completion. Here's the templates that have been published by DPI. If you've created your own report, you're going to see an edit pencil so that you can edit your report. And then this is what the page looks like. We won't go fully into this. We do have that webinar from December that we walked through everything on how to set up your report. When you are saving a report to run again, you're going to get the Save Reports page here. So you can save the report details. Under this little drop down, you can also schedule these reports to run. I don't have a screenshot here, but if you create an ad hoc report and you save it, it will come to this Memorize Reports page. If you want to schedule it, click that little drop down there and you can schedule it just like you do a quick report to run daily or monthly. It's there as well. All right. We'll skip past that. When you publish a report, this is where you target it to users. When does it need to be published by? Who do you want to include? And there is an awesome help guide out there to walk you through each of these steps. You want to watch the numbers under the show recipient list because it is going to give you a list statewide. However, your report will be restricted to your user rights, but you do still want to watch this number as you set your parameters. And that will give you an idea of, am I close to who I really want to send this to? You can also have at the end of that page an area to actually see who the report is going to. All right. All right, so your homework is if you're running reports and want to create reports, what variables do you need to know? What is your primary reporting target? Which report do you really want to use? How would you build your query? And then who do you want to publish and share it to, and how? All right, you skip out of that. So we're going to wrap up our session today. I'll be quiet just another minute and see if you guys have any questions. Hopefully this will help you plan for the end of the year. Time to plan for those end of year activities and wrapping up and keeping those reports. Get through this. And again, I'll have all this in a help guide by Friday, and I'll put it in the newsletter so that you can do those export to PDFs. All right, does anybody want to unmute and make any comments? Do not click the link on this slide. I'll go fix that real quick. There is another link on the last slide. Do check out our NCEES YouTube playlist. Everything that I present in a webinar is posted out here. Here is your list of contacts. Your home-based advisory board is wonderful. Please contact them. They come and come to our advisory board meetings and bring your concerns and kudos and all of that. And here's our DPI team for NCEES. If you've not been out to the NCEES support page, information and resource page that Kim Simmons created, please go out there. There's lots of good information out there as well. And we're wrapping up. Today's the 15th, and we'll meet again on Monday, the 26th of April. And then here's our team. Let me copy this and put in the chat. This is where you'll get your certificate, and I will fix the link on the other slide. I'm sorry I didn't notice it earlier. There's your feedback link. Please do fill this out. We listen and read all your feedback and appreciate it. What we can improve on, what we did well. We appreciate you guys coming out today. And thank you, Dean, for opening us up today. Thank you, everybody else that commented. Sally's already left. Angela, thank you, and Eleanor for making some comments. We have no other comments. We're going to wrap this up in just a couple minutes. I'll stay on the line for about 2 more minutes, and then we'll close it out. All right, I'm going to end the recording. You come back tomorrow for SchoolNet and join John Mars as he does the SchoolNet HBMU tomorrow. Thank you, guys.